Sylvie of the multiple award-winning The Queen Sylvie Show. You want to expand and get noticed? Then come outside your box and into our world. Internet advertising has a real impact on global awareness and even sales, so let's make an impact together. Offering for a limited time advertising and sponsorship packages that excel your purpose. So contact Queen Sylvie or Smooth Tim for the exciting opportunities that awaits. Yeah. The Frida's Cleaning Service is a small family-owned business established in 2003. With over 17 years of professional, high-quality, and greatly satisfied service, the Frida's Cleaning Service will get the job done. Specializing in sanitizing your home, business, post-construction, and commercial cleaning, no job's too big or small. See for yourself and give us a call, 567-249-9172. La Frida's Cleaning Service. Our reputation is always spotless.
It used to be hard for this family to run and play in their yard. That big pooch left its business all over. Dad would spend his time cleaning up puppy messes. Now, I make sure the yard is clean so they can play without worry. Yes, there really is a poop fairy.
Do you have questions about buying or selling a home, not sure if you're qualified? Your local real estate agent, Antoinette Ware, is here for you. Do you live out of town, moving out of town, or looking for investment property? Well, let's work together and make it happen. Antoinette Ware can be reached at 419-917-6258. The name you know, celebrating over 20 years, serving Toledo and surrounding areas.
Hey, it is Smooth Tim, and thank you for dropping in and spending another Wednesday with me on Tim's Tidbits. Give a shout out to everybody that tuned in last week from around the world, the United States, the United Kingdom, Canada, Mexico, Germany, Poland, Africa, Ireland, France, and Australia. Hey, appreciate you folks tuning on in, enjoying the show and listening to me rant on about what's going on domestically and around the world. And just giving you a little bit of insight, sometimes maybe that you're not catching any place else in any of the other major propaganda networks, let's call them, major news networks, I'm sorry. But in any regard, certainly do appreciate you spending some time with me, and let's get right into the show. It's interesting that the Supreme Court of the United States is going to hear a case in regards to cities being able to arrest, I would guess, create some type of an ordinance to penalize homeless people. That's their idea of how they're going to, handle the homeless epidemic here in the United States, which is interesting. I did a quick look up of some statistics. In 2023, there were 653,000 homeless people in the United States. So I'm thinking to myself, 653,000. If the Supreme Court is going to listen to this particular case, and you're going to make it a crime, or to be homeless, what are you going to do with the 653,000 homeless people you have now in the United States? It just befuddles me. But hey, let's take a quick look at this video and come right back.
On the banks of the Rogue River, tucked away under trees on the side of the road, even in center field of the local Little League ballpark, The homelessness epidemic is inescapable even in sleepy Grants Pass, Oregon. Population 40,000, roughly 600 call parks like this one home. Brandon, a 38-year-old Grants Pass native, says he has no choice.
So the city came in and said you can't camp right there on those wood chips.
The officer said I was too close to the playground and I was too close to the fence.
Local law requires that he move his camp every 72 hours. The city had tried to ban camping in parks outright, but was blocked by a federal court for now.
If I don't feel like I belong, I'm going to feel like an outsider, and then I'm going to want to continue doing the same thing because there's no reason to thrive for anything different.
The Ninth Circuit said that it's cruel and unusual punishment on the part of Grants Pass to cite and fine some homeless folks for living in the park when there's nowhere else to go.
Well, that's the big question. Is there nowhere else to go? Is there just nowhere else that they want to go?
Boteller says so long as courts say Grants Pass cannot ban camping in public, more people will choose to stay on the streets.
We've seen a drop in our residency, and we've seen an increase in people in our parks and freeway underpasses and that kind of stuff in places where they ought not be.
Cities from Phoenix to Los Angeles to Seattle have joined Grants Pass in appealing to the U.S. Supreme Court.
These encampments in California are unacceptable.
Elected officials from both parties urging the justices to make it easier for cities to clear tent encampments like these.
It's not acceptable for anyone to call the streets or a park their home, and cities need to have these ordinances so that they can help to incentivize people to accept offers of help. That's what these laws do.
The reality is the only thing that works is more permanent, affordable housing. This case is not going to solve homelessness. If we prevail in this case, our homeless problem is still going to be there. It just means that we can't criminalize people while they're homeless.
For Helen, Cruz, and Brandon, a lot is on the line.
We're just a small little community with a really big homeless problem and no place to put us.
Yeah, so basically, create an ordinance and do something with them. But, you've got a whole lot of facilities out there. I mean, there's a lot of places that, you can do something with these homeless, some type of affordable housing if you think somehow they're polluting your streets. And some of it's through no fault of their own. A lot of them have lost their jobs and or, they're just completely priced out of the home market. You look at what's going, in the housing market. How the heck can some of these people even afford homes anymore, part of the problem in lies there. And then, do you have enough rental properties? And then those properties continuously increase in price. And again, knock these people right out of the ability to house themselves properly. So, speaking of getting priced out of stuff, this one kind of caught me by surprise too. And this is in Oahu, Hawaii. We call it paradise. Yeah. Seems that some farmers are losing their land. Some farmers lease particular lands off of property owners so that they can, expand their agricultural product or whatever they might be utilizing. They could be farmers or, raising cattle and or sheep. But in any regards, it's they're getting priced right out, being able to rent property so that they can survive. In fact, I found this one crazy about what's happening in, and this is in Maui, which is another island in the Hawaiian chain. I'm sure you all know that. But in any regard, just recently, Oprah paid $6.4 million for 850 acres to add on to her already previously owned 1,280 acres. So, wow, $6.4 million for 850 acres, and that's what these people are buying. These millionaires, billionaires, are buying up properties for in Hawaii. So it's really no surprise, that the normal individuals getting priced right out of the market. So, bound to happen. But check this out. Some of it, this is just heart-wrenching.
Well, local jobs and livestock production are being threatened as some longtime Oahu ranchers say that they are being forced out of the business.
Our Kristen Concilio spoke today with the operator of a decades-old ranch in central Oahu. It's a story you'll only see on Island News.
Bridget Napier is a fourth-generation rancher at Maukele Ranch, which is scrambling to get rid of more than 500 cattle by the end of June.
There's nowhere that we can move our cattle to.
That's when its lease runs out on 2,500 acres in Helemano.
There's a bit of panic, but I mean, in the state that we're at on Oahu, we're losing ag lands like this left and right. So it was inevitable.
Ranch operators say they were given 180 days to leave after the property was bought by Utah developer Woodbury Corporation under the name Oahu Property Owner. The ranching operation has been around for 30 years.
We're trying to be a more sustainable Hawaii, but this is taking place. How are we to become sustainable? There's constant talks of, let's become more sustainable, 100% local, let's go grass-fed, let's this. The realistic part of it is we don't have the land.
In a statement, the new landowner said after confronting many complaints and problems with Maukele Ranch, Oahu Property Owner issued a termination notice on Maukele's land license. Maukele has been given 6 months to wind down operations and vacate the property. Oahu Property Owner plans to pursue other agriculture activity on the land. Ranch operators say they were told by the new landowner of plans to develop, but it wasn't clear exactly what.
So if you were to drive down there now, you'll see structures that were built that I believe they're using as ag condos or ag lots.
Maukele Ranch offered to purchase the land, but says at $55 million, that's impossible.
Wow, that's a whole lot of change. $55 million for the acreage they want to pick up. That's ridiculous. They need to get Oprah's agent. Oprah's getting land a little bit cheaper over there for them. That's ridiculous. See, it's all going into development. I'm sure they'll probably do something like put housing out there where they can, quadruple their freaking money. It's just the way things go. It's a sad, sad case. What's happening to paradise. Get priced out of paradise. I've seen that a couple of different times in some newsreels. Native Hawaiians they can't afford it. So they're going to go homeless too. I guess we'll put them in jail. What the hell? Unbelievable. Speaking of things that should go to jail, let's get into that. Let's get in on something else besides, what we're going to do is we price people out of being able to afford to live. Every once in a while, you'll encounter some people who are shady characters and doing what shouldn't be right. And there were some shoppers that stepped up to the case on this one, and you're going to love this. Check it out.
That creepy guy is about to target the woman crouching by the children's bookshelf. Watch as he slips his phone beneath her skirt.
Excuse me, what are you doing? No, I just saw you put that underneath her dress.
But another shopper confronts him.
No, ma'am, I really wasn't. You absolutely did. Then show me your phone. No, we're going to call security.
He claims he was shopping for children's books because his sister is pregnant, but neither woman is buying it.
You've been extremely close to me this whole time. Please show me your phone.
No.
I really promise I wasn't trying to do anything inappropriate. I wasn't. I really wasn't. I'm not like that.
Obviously you are. I literally have it on video. I knew you were up to no good.
Despite his denials, police arrested 21-year-old Thomas Elliott at the Target store in Greenville, North Carolina. He's charged with 5 counts of felony secret peeping. Get this, he's a volunteer at a local church and an elementary school. Both have cut ties with him.
Well, yeah, I'm not surprised they cut ties with him. So wow. And he got caught red-handed, so to speak, didn't he? But yeah, hey, somebody stepped up and did the right thing. That's, again, one of those cases, if you see something, say something. You wouldn't want to be violated like that, and heaven forbid, who knows what that guy would have done with those particular images. But hey, if you see something, say something. If you have the ability to act. We need to make a difference in this world, positive difference in this world, and not let bad things happen, to good people. And there was, speaking of making sure that bad people didn't do harm to good people, in Collins County, Texas. That's the Dallas-Fort Worth area. It's kind of up in the northeast section of the Dallas-Fort Worth complex, like Plano, Texas, McKinney, Texas. Anyhow, the local agency did a sting operation. And the sting operation was basically to haul in some trollers, people that were, trolling minors for obviously sex. And you won't believe some of the people they got caught up in this.
Heather, these 15 men who were arrested live all over North Texas, but investigators tell me they traveled to Collin County to meet up with who they thought were minors. It turns out they were undercover investigators.
These 15 mugshots represent the 15 men recently arrested in a sting operation targeting child predators online, according to an announcement by the Collin County Sheriff's Office on Wednesday. Operation Home Alone was a 3-day undercover operation conducted by Collin County deputies, Plano Police, Dallas Police, and Texas DPS. Investigators within the Child Exploitation Unit went undercover online. Collin County Sheriff Jim Skinner says the men traveled to Collin County to meet up at undisclosed locations to have sex with minors. Instead, they were arrested.
And then there were a number of days in which our ghost unit had to track down some of these individuals in order to capture them. Matter of fact, one individual tried to evade arrest and crashed his car into a vehicle occupied by a deputy U.S. Marshal. And so, these are dangerous people.
On the right of your screen, 5 men were charged with soliciting a prostitute under the age of 18. On the left, 10 men were charged with online solicitation of a minor sexual conduct. This includes Reverend Jason Myers of Trinity Episcopal Church in Fort Worth. The church sent out a letter over the weekend stating the associate rector was suspended after he was arrested on Thursday. Trinity Episcopal also says it does not have any reason to believe that anyone in the congregation or school was harmed, but went on to ask anyone with information to reach out to the church and law enforcement.
Hey, wow, so they bust a pastor, and all these perverts. That's just freaking disgusting, 5 of them for, soliciting prostitution, so they absolutely, they showed up. These other idiots, these other 12 morons, 10 rather. They were online, probably sending photos back and forth, asking for photos. Who knows what the hell was going on with these clowns, but good job. Glad to see that Collins County, Texas is doing the right thing. And again, these are one of those things, if you see something, say something, pay attention to what's going on your child's phone and or tablet or whatever the heck they may be communicating, because none of these sites are truly safe. It's important for parents, guardians, keep a track of what's going on with your child, because you never know. This guy was a pastor, one of them that was picked up, and, some people are probably shocked. Some people probably may have an inclination that this stuff was even going on with this gentleman. Who knows? But again, hey, let's make a positive difference in this world. And when you see something like that, hear something like that going on, react, do something. And sometimes it's not always, who you would suspect. In fact, there's a prison guard that's got himself in a big bind now because of, what he utilized his authority over women that he was transporting. Check this out.
Today, the man who was supposed to keep women safe instead found out that he's going to be in a federal prison for the next 30 years. Marquette Johnson admitted to raping 3 women in his custody, one of them while passing through Bernalillo County.
But the federal investigation identified a dozen other alleged victims. Brittany Costello joins us from the federal courthouse downtown with what all she's learned here.
The judge told Johnson today he violated the public trust with people who could not protect themselves, saying there's nothing worse, before handing down the max sentence. Marquette Johnson was a prisoner transport guard working for Inmate Services Corporation. In 2019, he was using these vans to pick up and drop off inmates across the country. But First Assistant U.S. Attorney for New Mexico, Holland Castron, says he was doing a lot more than that.
Johnson was calculated. He proactively sought out and created opportunities to be alone with these women that he transported.
In December, Johnson admitted to raping 3 inmates in his custody, but investigators know of a dozen others. One woman says he threatened her with a gun. She was assaulted in 2019 near the Metropolitan Detention Center in Albuquerque after he dropped off other inmates. Attorney Laura Schauer-Ives represents her. We talked to her in December.
It's never like a punishment or reasonable for a human being to be raped because they are accused of a crime.
Tuesday, Johnson was back in federal court where he was sentenced to 30 years in prison.
While this sentence cannot undo the emotional and physical trauma that Mr. Johnson caused TP and these other victims, it will ensure that Johnson spends decades in prison.
But there are more questions about other victims, whether Inmate Services Corporation did enough to protect inmates, and who will hold those private companies accountable. The U.S. Attorney's Office wouldn't speak to that.
We, as well as DOJ, are exploring our options within our authorities to address and prevent the future exploitation of vulnerable victims like these.
We encourage survivors to find the courage to come forward and report these crimes to the FBI.
Yeah, I think 30 years from Mr. Johnson is going to do him just right. It's going to be, I was thinking to myself, it's going to be kind of interesting when he gets into federal prison. You know, number one, he could have transported half those guys there, who the hell knows. So, you know, they're going to be wanting to probably get a little bit of action in on his ass. And then besides, you never know that he may have possibly, violated one of the other inmates there as women. And he's toast. He's toast. Johnson, you are in trouble. Speaking of getting raped, good luck in prison. Yeah, good luck in prison. Anyhow, hey, over the weekend, all over the United States and all over the world, as a matter of fact, there was a lot of protests regarding the war in Israel and in Palestine, and there was a lot of pro-Palestine demonstration going on. It is horrible what's going on. Some are regarding it as genocide. Some are regarding it as, just protecting themselves, Israel just protecting themselves and doing what needs to be done. There's a whole lot of viewpoints you can look at it, but in any regards, over the weekend, as I said, there was protests all over the place. There was 7,200 arrests made in over 43 different cities. And apparently some of it probably did get a little bit out of control. You're always going to have some bad apples in every march. Part of it was in Yale, at Yale University. There were 47 PLA members or supporters, I guess you would call them, the Palestinian Liberation Army, PLA members. And also in Philadelphia, party for, I believe it's socialization. Yeah, Party for Socialization, which is a right-wing kind of communistic party that got themselves involved in all of this. And it reminded me back in the 60s and 70s, when the incident happened in 1970 at Kent. I believe that might have been in March or something like that of 1970, when the students got shot at Kent State. Basically peaceful protests. But again, it only takes one little thing to spark it off. In that particular case, it was a National Guardsman that got a little antsy and started shooting at students. In this particular case, you never know. I look at it like in any time you have a demonstration, you're going to have bad people show up, whether it's, neo-Nazis, Proud Boys, PLA members, Party for Socialism. You're going to have all these different fractions that are going to show up because there's a crowd of people and they're going to, entice and put whatever message they want to put forward. It could, taint the entire demonstration and or march. So, be aware that, there's going to be these bad characters out there, but it's crazy that it happened. And let's take a look at the video, and unbelievable. Yeah, 7,200 arrests, people.
Overnight, tensions boiling over as pro-Palestinian protests spread to more college campuses from coast to coast.
You have been warned by New York University to leave the area.
Police in riot gear dismantling this encampment at New York University, arresting multiple people accused of ignoring a deadline to disperse. Police and the school describing disorderly, disruptive, and antagonizing behavior that has interfered with the safety and security of our community. Earlier, faculty members formed this human chain around the protesters.
I am a professor here. I have every right to be everywhere on campus.
At nearby Columbia University, where protests are entering a sixth day, a pro-Israeli assistant professor said he was not allowed to enter campus where protesters have gathered, but was allowed access to his business school down the street.
So they are willing to use Jewish brains, but they don't want to let Jewish people in. But I'm not allowed to go on campus where they are allowing the Hamas supporters. And that is a shame.
The professor later posting, earlier today, Columbia University refused to let me onto campus. Why? Because they cannot protect my safety as a Jewish professor. This is 1938. After more than 100 arrests last week, a new encampment is growing at Columbia, escalating concerns about security. Student groups, like those at other colleges and universities, are demanding Columbia divest from companies that do business with Israel. But critics highlight anti-Semitic hate speech among the demonstrators. New York's mayor pointing to this image, showing a woman with a sign in front of pro-Israel protesters reading Al-Qassam's next targets, a reference to Hamas's military wing.
See, there's exactly what I'm talking about. When you get some moron like that holding a sign like that has absolutely really nothing to do with the situation. The situation is people are tired of seeing people killed for no real apparent reason besides they're in the wrong place at the wrong damn time. As I said, you're going to have these bad characters. I remember growing up and seeing the different right wing, or left wing rather, faction groups come into town when they were protesting on campus in the city that I lived in. So, I remember it well, and especially back in 1970 in Kent State. I was just getting into high school at that time, and my God, that made a hell of an impact on me about what can happen to you when you're exercising your right to freedom of speech. So it's a volatile situation going out there, and just be careful. If you're gonna go out there and support one side and or the other, be wary that it could go bad real quick. Speaking of going bad real quick, there's a lot of speculation out there of who could be Trump's VP pick coming up in this election, and one of the persons that threw their hat into the ring that would just love to be a nominee for Trump's VP, they can't even stand in their own state. Check this out.
On Thursday, the Rosebud Sioux tribe of South Dakota banned the governor, Kristi Noem, from stepping foot on its reservation. The Rosebud Sioux is now the fourth tribe in South Dakota to ban the governor from their lands. The Cheyenne River Sioux, the Oglala Sioux, the Standing Rock Sioux, and the Rosebud Sioux reservations cover more than 8 million acres, according to state and federal government records, which means that Kristi Noem is currently banned from roughly 17% of her own stake. Why? Well, for the past few months, Governor Kristi Noem, who is currently vying to be Trump's pick for VP, She can't seem to stop talking about the violent drug trafficking cartels in the, quote, war zone at the Texas border with Mexico. And in talking about that border such situation and the cartels and the drugs and the murders, she keeps suggesting that the Native American tribes in her state are complicit, even benefiting from the cartel activity. So last month, during a press conference, Noem said, quote, "We got some tribal leaders that I believe are personally benefiting from the cartels being there, and that's why they attack me every day." Since January, Noem has repeatedly claimed that the cartels are infiltrating the tribes and using the reservations to spread fentanyl throughout the state. One Ogallala tribal leader said, quote, "How dare the governor allege that Sioux tribal councils do not care about their communities or their children, and worse, that they are involved in nefarious activities." In a written statement, the Ogallala tribal leaders explained their decision to ban the governor from their land was not made lightly nor suddenly. It's also not the first time that she's been at odds with the tribes, nor is it the first time that she's been banned from tribal land. In 2019, there was a major protest against the construction of the Keystone XL pipeline on the Pine Ridge Reservation. Kristi Noem supported anti-protest legislation, which basically outlawed the demonstrators and made it punishable by 5 to 25 years in prison. In response, the Ogallala Sioux of the Pine Ridge Reservation unanimously voted to banish her from their land temporarily. And when tribes set up checkpoints during the height of the COVID-19 pandemic to regulate access to their land in order to protect their medically vulnerable elders, Noem called on the federal government to shut the checkpoints down.
Yeah, this woman needs some serious help. So, she was part of the Keystone Pipeline protest, and then she decides that she wants to ban protesting. So, yeah, that's kind of interesting. So while stifle your freedom of speech, we don't want the rest of the nation knowing that we're doing even worse to the indigenous Indian by, ruining the land, the crappy-ass land that we did give him anyhow. It's ridiculous. And then to sit there and try to label them as supporters of the cartel and drug dealers, that's just sad. But, that's right in the playbook of, Donald. You label people and start making people wonder and even question, and hey, there you go. You started the question, you started them wondering, you tindered the fire, so to speak. But hey, give her a chance. She'll roll back because, hey, that's what Donald and his crew does. They roll back. In fact, some years back, Donald and, in fact, Carrie Lake, the video that I'm going to show, how they anti-abortion, complete women who have an abortion for whatever reason should be thrown in prison, and the doctor who does it should be thrown in jail. Now that it's becoming a hot topic, well, let's see how these two are answering the question now.
Carrie Lake and Donald Trump. At first, they admitted they wanted a national abortion ban.
I don't think abortion pills should be legal.
There has to be some form of punishment.
For the woman?
Yeah, there has to be some form.
Now, they're pretending they won't back the ban if they're elected. They're lying.
This total ban on abortion is out of line with where the people of this state are.
Did Arizona go too far?
Yeah, they did, and that'll be straightened out.
I agree with President Trump. This is such a personal and private issue.
Two frauds desperately running from the truth and from their real position. She backed the ban, and he's still bragging about ending Roe.
That I was able to terminate Roe v. Wade, and I'm proud to have done it. I was so honored to have done it.
They'll ban all abortion, even to save a mother's life. They'll end IVF, and they'll ban birth control. Donald Trump and Carrie Lake, they're the same. They're dishonest, deceptive, and dangerous for every woman.
Yeah, it's pretty damn sad. They talk out of both sides of their mouth. That's atypical, of Donald especially. He's going to say one thing, and depending upon the situation, he'll flip. I didn't say that. No, that never happened. And crazy. He's got himself in quite a jam anyhow. I don't know if he was paying attention to the news, but that would have been Monday. Monday when the trial started, they called in the, I don't know if he's the editor-in-chief or what the heck he really is, with the National Enquirer, owner, editor-in-chief, whatever he is. And he was talking while under oath a little bit about catch and kill, and how Donald and his campaign crew would pay him to catch any negative stories and promote, about Donald, promote the positive, and obviously if they could catch any negative information about his opponents, well, let's get that out there for him. And this is some real damning testimony, but check this out. Donald was probably just crapping his pants during this whole time.
All I did is point out the fact that on the cover of the National Enquirer, there was a picture of him and crazy Lee Harvey Oswald having breakfast. Now, Ted never denied that it was his father. Instead, he said, Donald Trump, I had nothing to do with it.
And that was Donald Trump back in 2016, denying his involvement in this magazine cover, the National Enquirer, falsely alleging Ted Cruz's father was linked to JFK's assassination. Remember, Cruz and Trump, they were competing for the GOP presidential nomination at that time. And today, David Pecker, the CEO of the National Enquirer's publisher, American Media, Inc., giving bombshell testimony at Trump's criminal trial, admitting that that story was completely manufactured, including a fake photo. Pecker saying, quote, we mashed the photos and the different picture with Lee Harvey Oswald. That's how that story was prepared. Well, created, I would say. And it was all done at the direction of Trump's lawyer at the time, Michael Cohen. Pecker testifying, quote, after the Republican debates and based on the success that some of the other candidates had, I would receive a call from Michael Cohen and he would direct me and direct Dylan Howard which candidate and which direction we should go. That's how the process happened. Cruz today denying comment, telling NBC News that he's, quote, not interested in revisiting ancient history. Pecker detailing a mutually beneficial agreement between Trump and the tabloid magazine. Pecker admitted when he promoted Trump with positive coverage like this, what you're seeing right now, it actually helped both his magazine sales and it helped Trump. But when prosecutors asked if buying up negative stories of Trump helped the magazine, Pecker said, quote, no, that didn't help. It benefited the campaign. And by that, he means the Trump campaign. Pecker testified about the catch and kill scheme involving ex-Playboy model Karen McDougal, who is a prosecution witness. When McDougal first approached the National Enquirer, Pecker told Trump he should buy the story. Trump told him, quote, anytime you do something like that, it always comes out. And of course now, those words coming back to haunt Donald Trump.
Yeah, Donald. Catch and kill. That's interesting, Yeah, so we'll see what happens this coming next week, rather. Both when they get Conan on there, his ex-lawyer, and Stormy will come up, maybe that Playboy playmate. It'll be interesting to see. And then we'll see how Melania decides to readdress her prenup with Don. He's crazy. You know what is, I guess, too, also leading into all that different things, they played his broadcast when he was on the bus with Billy Bush talking about you can do whatever you want with women. You grab them, do whatever they want. They don't care. They say nothing. So they're already getting the jury all lined up like this guy is just sick. Something needs to be done. Anyhow, hey, let's go on to one of my parts of the show that I really enjoy, and this is my asshole of the week. And everybody can relate to this. Sometimes, we have a supervisor and a boss, which is just a complete numbskull asshole. Well, guess what? Man, this boss really took the prize this week.
This isn't the first time this boss has been under fire. First, 4 years ago, over comments during the COVID shutdown when he worked for the city, and now for how he's allegedly treating school district employees. Several of them tell us Ken Turnage has not been properly disciplined. and they know why.
Oh, his personal relationship with our superintendent.
Because of his relationship with the superintendent's husband and the superintendent.
Ken Turnage is still there because of his relationship to the superintendent and probably more people downtown.
This picture isn't the start of the story or the end, but it might be the last chapter in Jim Kesser's 30-year career as a maintenance worker at Antioch Unified School District. He says his new boss, Ken Turnage, waited until he was not at work to trash his desk and then direct multiple district employees to use this forklift to put his desk on a roof in the district's maintenance yard, where he works. Besides it, a sign that read Kesser's Access and a ladder.
I literally was in the emergency room the next weekend. My wife said, "You're having panic attacks," and I thought I was having a heart attack.
Why do you think he put your desk on the roof?
I asked that question 100 times. At first I thought, he's bullying me for speaking out for a conversation we had a few months earlier where he asked me to do a job assignment. And I said, I'm open to doing, whatever you ask me to do, but I just want to let you know, because you're new, I'm not a mechanic and I'm not an electrician. And he literally blew up at me.
When you say he blew up at you, what happened?
He could do it from 0 to 60 in 5 seconds.
Yeah, he definitely qualifies for asshole of the week. I mean, I couldn't imagine if that's just up and above, going beyond being an asshole boss. And I hope he gets disciplined. I mean, yeah, even if he has protection. Yeah, I'd like to see people do something about that kind of crap. That's just no way you should be treating any individual like that. Sad. Anyhow, hey, let's get into another part that I really enjoy, and this is what we call, oh, what the fuck? And this goes out to a group of morons in Utah that decided to destroy thousands of years of God's creation.
Law enforcement park rangers are looking for help identifying the suspects involved in a vandalism incident at Redstone Dunes Trail area at Lake Mead. This incident was recorded on Sunday, April 7th, where some men are seen toppling natural rock formations from the top of the cliff. We showed you this video right here on Fox 5 on Friday. If you have any information that can help law enforcement, call the National Park Service. We do have that number under the story on our website, and that is fox5vegas.com.
Yeah, morons. Just typical straight out morons. I've seen something like that not too long ago also, where this guy was actually a Boy Scout leader. I believe this was in Utah, maybe Arches National Park, one of those like that. Thousands-year-old rock formations, and these guys are just destroying them, Leave no trace. When you go through and you get to explore a natural wonder like that, don't destroy it. Leave it for your children and their children and generations after that. Don't destroy that. What is wrong with you? Anyhow, hey, that is the conclusion of the show, and really super appreciate you spending this Wednesday evening with us. I hope I was able to enlighten you on some craziness that's going on around the world and domestically, and maybe give you an opinion one way or the other, whatever it is. One important message is, get out there and do the right thing, folks, for the right reasons. And if you see something, do something about it. Until next week, we'll holla. Bye.
It was over 1 million. That's how many people died due to my tragic mismanagement of the COVID-19 pandemic. Over 1 million dead Americans. And then there was the violent insurrection that I incited, where even more Americans were killed. A veritable ocean of felony crimes, 2 impeachments, and America was humiliated on the world stage. It was a dark and deadly time in America, and we don't ever want to go back. And that's why President Joe Biden is leading America back to true greatness. The economy is soaring, unemployment is near historic lows, and the nation is finally recovering from the COVID-19 pandemic that I mismanaged. Under the strong leadership of President Joe Biden, the stock market is at a record high. And with President Biden's leadership, unemployment is at record lows, and more Americans are experiencing economic success than ever before. President Biden is a transformative leader who turned America around after I took a giant shit on the economy by fucking up the handling of the pandemic. I lost 3 million jobs and unemployment was nearly 7%. I'm the most despicable sack of shit who ever disgraced America's political landscape. But President Joe Biden is a leader America and the world can be proud of. He's a man of principle, and his wildly successful presidency stands in stark contrast to my hideous and embarrassing incompetence. That's why I am extremely proud to give my complete and total endorsement to President Joe Biden for re-election. Please join me in re-electing Joe Biden as President of the United States this November. Together we can finish the job for the American people.
I'm AI Joe Biden, and by God, I approve this message all fucking day long.